first reporter of the day is, I believe, from CBS News, questioning Karine Jean-Pierre on what's going to happen. What should Americans expect if the day comes and we don't raise the debt ceiling and we default on stuff? Here's her response.
Thank you, Karine. Can you help Americans understand what will practically happen on X day? There will still be money left. What is the rate of the cash flow, and where will the money be prioritized? Whether it's Medicaid checks, Social Security checks, what happens on that day?
So, as I've said,
let's just pause real quick. Let's just pause for the listeners and the viewers. Do you guys think she knows what the hell is going on? Do you think she's going to be able to answer this in fine detail? I don't think so. I don't think so either. We're all in the same boat here. We all know how this one's going to roll, but let's hear the cockamamie rambling. Let's hear it.
Look, that's not the, as you speak to prioritization, that is not the plan. It is a recipe for economic catastrophe. It would throw the economy into chaos. So just want to be really clear about this. The Secretary of Treasury said, and has said this as well, that prioritization is effectively a default. Stephen Munchkin said, and I quote, "That doesn't make sense. The government should honor all of its obligations and the debt limit should be raised." Jack Lew, I think prioritization is just default by another name. Timothy Geithner, prioritization is unworkable, harmful, and the world would recognize it as a first ever failure by the United States to meet its commitment. The only way to avoid this kind of economic disaster is for Congress to do its job. It's for Congress to act, to prevent default, and that's going to be our focus at this time.
The question was, Karine, you get paid a lot of money to stand there and answer questions that were never asked to you. You get paid a lot of money, but the question was, again, how can you detail this out for Americans on what things are going to look like, what's going to be prioritized, where's the money going to go, because there's a little bit left over, and you dodged the whole thing. You dodged the whole question, and somehow you came up with some cockamamie question in your mind, and you answered that one.
I hear that, but I think a lot of Americans don't understand what's going to happen practically. Can you help us understand that?
So look, here's the thing. This is why we have said would be catastrophic to our economy if there is a default. We've been very clear. We've laid out what could potentially happen. Remember, this would be our first ever default. If it were to happen, we're going to do everything that we can to avoid this. That's why we've been asking for Congress.
Hold on. Stop it. You're not going to do everything you can. It's so amazing how she gets away with this stuff. Just yesterday, you were talking about how you weren't gonna negotiate at all. That there should be no conditions on this bad boy. That you should just raise the debt ceiling and we continue just to spend trillions of dollars and drive ourselves right into the ground. We're shooting ourselves in the foot. So don't tell me you're doing everything you can. The president just started meeting them on this whole thing like last week, and the guy's still traveling around. He wasn't even willing to take a phone call while he's in Japan. Sure, he came back a day early, but that was pressure from the GOP and just the American public for him to get his booty back there and figure this whole thing out. Kamala Harris was in Los Angeles doing whatever the hell knows what she's doing over there while this whole thing was taking place. Folks, he's going to Camp David. He's traveling other places. He's not taking this serious. Come on. You're not doing everything you can. It's the same thing they say about the border wall. We're doing everything we can. All the while, it's just like open borders, just millions of people pouring across, just having free range on America. It's insane. It's insane.
To act, but a couple of things that this would lead to. It would wipe out millions of jobs, up to 8 million jobs. It would trigger a recession. It would devastate retirement accounts. It would increase costs. It would damage our international reputation. This is what could potentially happen if we default. Again, we are not a deadbeat nation. That's what the president has said. We have been able to pay our debts since 1960. We did it 78 times. So, and that's just one part of what could happen. The other part that what could happen too is we could see the gains that we have made these last 2 years under this president. When you think about 12.7 million jobs, that could be gone. When you think about unemployment rate at the lowest, at one of the lowest that we have seen, 3.4%, that could hurt that. The manufacturing boom, the 80,000 new jobs that we were able to create with manufacturing jobs, that could be gone. The $1.7 trillion of deficit that the president was able to do the first 2 years, a record, that could be all gone. So that is what's at stake, and we believe the American people understand that. And so we're going to do everything that we can to make sure that that doesn't happen.
She'll continue here in just one moment. The logic here is, it really is insane, you guys. Because we've done something 78 times, that gives good reason for us to continually do the same thing. Like, just think about that. Like, you can move that in any avenue of your life when you make a stupid decision and you keep doing something stupid, and your rationale for you to keep doing something stupid is because you just kept doing it this entire time. I've done it 78 times. It's a good idea to just keep doing that stupid thing. That's her logic. And it's been like that with like Supreme Court cases. Oh, well, it's been precedents before. Like, well, it's been law for 50 years. We might as well just keep rolling with it. There was a lot of things in the Supreme Court that they ruled on that was there that shouldn't have been there. It's such a weird way of thinking, and she just gets away with it. Like, nobody questions her on that whole idea. Like, lady, what are you talking about? It's a terrible thing to keep raising the debt ceiling. We're $32 trillion in debt. She can't fathom that. Well, Congress needs to do their job. True, the president needs to do his damn job, but, we can't talk about that.
On the negotiations, McCarthy has made very clear what Republicans are asking for. The White House has made clear where President Biden is willing to meet them halfway. But what concessions are the White House trying to get in this deal? In other words, what are you going to get out of this deal other than raising the debt ceiling?
So look, a couple of things, and I've said this, I think I said this yesterday, the president said this on Sunday, certainly not going to negotiate from here, but I'll lay out a couple of things that the president has been very clear.
Thank God.
We put forward a proposal that cuts spending by more than $1 trillion. That's on top of what the president put in his budget on March 9th, which is a $3 trillion cut in deficit over 10 years. And the president has made clear that he and congressional...
Wow, $3 trillion over 10 years, you guys. Make sure you give him a pat on the back. Everybody get out a piece of paper, write a note card to Joe Biden, tell him how thankful you are over 10 years. He's cutting $3 trillion on a $32 trillion debt. No, that's great. You're really going to pay that down. You're really going to pay that one down quick.
Democrats cannot support devastating cuts that would slash law enforcement, education, and food assistance. So we've been very clear on those pieces. We've said this over and over again. Just not going to get into specifics from here beyond what the president laid out on Sunday.
Thank you.
It really is remarkable. I know we say this every single time, you guys, but it's important to see the messaging and the lies that's constantly happening from this administration, because there's people that do call it out, but really there's not that many channels that actually go through specific highlights and call out the BS that's coming out of this administration. He's doing everything he can. Oh, it's a productive meeting. Well, how is it productive if you're sitting there ripping the GOP a new one every time you stand on the podium? I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Bald Brad Show. If you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all our future content.